Serena Williams touched a simple cotton decoration in a New York hotel. And within seconds, it turned into a full-blown controversy about race, wealth, and hypocrisy. Was she overreacting, or is there a deeper truth behind her words? On September 24, 2025, Serena Williams was not on a tennis court, nor was she preparing for a Grand Slam final. Instead, she was in the bustling heart of New York City, stepping into a different role: friend, supporter, and cultural figure outside the world of sports. Her visit wasn't tied to her legendary career as one of the most decorated athletes of all time. Rather, she was there to celebrate her close friend Kim Kardashian, who was unveiling the newest release from her fashion brand, Scams. The occasion highlighted how Serena, even in retirement, remained at the center of conversations about influence, culture, and the evolving relationship between celebrity and entrepreneurship. The setting itself was telling. Serena was staying in one of Manhattan's luxury five-star hotels, a space designed to epitomize elegance and exclusivity. Five-star hotels in New York aren't just about convenience, they're status symbols. They serve as gathering points for the global elite. Offering more than accommodation, these hotels create an atmosphere of sophistication, where design, service, and location blend seamlessly to reflect a guest's stature. For Serena Williams, who has spent decades in the spotlight, such a choice wasn't simply about comfort. It underscored her place in the same echelon of global icons as Kim Kardashian, where visibility and presentation matter as much as private enjoyment. What made this moment distinct, however, was not the event itself but how Serena chose to share it. With the tap of her phone, she gave her millions of followers a glimpse into her experience through Instagram stories. The act might seem mundane, but in today's digital landscape, it carries profound significance. For fans who have followed Serena's journey from a teenager in beads dominating Wimbledon to a mother, entrepreneur, and now cultural icon, these snippets create a sense of intimacy. They bridge the distance between celebrity and audience, transforming the hotel room into a stage where personal life intersects with public narrative. Kim Kardashian's Scams brand launch was also an emblematic part of the story. Kim, like Serena, has consistently reinvented herself, moving from reality television star to billionaire entrepreneur. Their friendship, publicly visible for years, reflects the interconnected nature of modern celebrity culture. These women are not only friends but also symbols of ambition and reinvention. For Serena, supporting Kim was more than showing up at a product launch. It was an acknowledgement of solidarity in an industry where women, particularly women who redefine traditional molds, have to carve their own paths. The moment also invited reflection on Serena's post-tennis life. Many athletes struggle with identity after retirement, but Serena has navigated the transition with remarkable poise. She has invested in businesses, promoted equity and venture capital through her firm Serena Ventures, and continued to speak out on issues from gender equality to racial justice. Her presence at Kim's launch signaled how seamlessly she has moved into the role of cultural tastemaker, leveraging her influence in spheres beyond athletics. What might seem like a simple Instagram story becomes more meaningful when viewed against the broader backdrop of celebrity influence. Social media has transformed the way public figures interact with their audiences. In decades past, such a moment might have been captured by paparazzi or described in a magazine profile weeks later. Now, it unfolds in real time, unfiltered and personal, yet still curated. Serena's decision to post her support amplified Kim's event instantly to millions, turning a private moment into a public spectacle. For Serena's followers, the post was also a reminder of her humanity. Despite her towering legacy, she is, at her core, a woman supporting a friend's career milestone. The luxury hotel, the brand launch, the glamour — these were details that placed her in a world most could only imagine. Yet the act of recording a short story made her seem relatable, echoing how millions of everyday people use Instagram to share their own nights out, travels, or supportive gestures for loved ones. This intersection of extraordinary and ordinary is part of what makes Serena's social presence resonate. Beyond friendship, Serena's support for Kim Kardashian can also be read as a reflection of the ways in which women in power consciously uplift one another. Both women have faced criticism, scrutiny, and stereotypes in their careers. Both have redefined expectations, Serena by dominating a sport historically dominated by white athletes, and Kim by building a billion-dollar empire in industries where she was often dismissed as superficial. Their partnership, however casual or social it may appear, represents a form of mutual validation and visibility that challenges old narratives about female rivalry in public life. The setting of New York City further enriches the story. The city has always been a stage for reinvention, ambition, and spectacle. From Broadway to Wall Street, from Harlem to Soho. New York is a place where cultural icons converge and legacies are both made and celebrated. That Serena and Kim chose this city for such a moment feels almost inevitable. New York embodies the themes both women represent: resilience, transformation, and the pursuit of global influence. For Serena, who has played countless matches in the US Open just across town in Queens, the city also carries personal history. She has been cheered by thousands in Arthur Ashe Stadium, her dominance on display under the bright lights of Flushing Meadows, to now appear in a different role, in a hotel suite rather than a tennis arena, marks a symbolic evolution of her New York legacy. It is also worth considering the role of timing. The date September 24, 2025 places Serena 3 years into retirement. By this point, she had already established herself as more than a former athlete. Her presence at the event reaffirmed that her influence did not end with her final match. In fact, her career off the court may, in time, prove as significant as her 23 Grand Slam titles. Her ventures into business, media, and social causes have broadened her impact, ensuring that her name resonates in spaces far beyond sports. For fans and observers, the story was about more than just a cotton decoration or a luxury hotel backdrop. It was about what Serena represents in this stage of her life. It was about witnessing a woman who has carried the weight of expectation and history throughout her career, now choosing where and how to direct her voice, even in something as fleeting as an Instagram story. There is meaning, the power of visibility, the influence of endorsement, and the cultural ripple effect of her choices. In the end, that evening in New York encapsulated the essence of modern celebrity life, where friendships are public, gestures are amplified, and private experiences become cultural touchpoints. For Serena Williams, the decision to share her presence at Kim Kardashian's brand launch may have lasted only a few seconds on Instagram, but it spoke volumes about who she is now. Not only a champion of sport, but a champion of influence, connection, and cultural presence. And for those watching, the message was clear. Serena Williams is no longer defined solely by what she achieves on the court. She has become part of a larger story, one that intertwines with fashion, business, media, and social discourse. Her ability to move between these worlds with authenticity, confidence, and impact makes her presence at events like Kim Kardashian's Scams release more than a cameo. It makes it a statement about friendship, cultural power, and the enduring legacy of a woman who continues to shape the narrative, even in retirement.
Everyone, how do we feel about cotton as decoration? Personally, for me, it doesn't feel great. So actually, it feels like nail polish over cotton, natural.
When Serena Williams posted her short Instagram story from a New York City hotel, the video itself lasted no more than 22 seconds. Yet in that brief moment, she managed to spark a conversation that reached far beyond the walls of the five-star suite where it was filmed. The clip began with a simple question directed to her millions of followers. How do we feel about a cotton decoration? On the surface, the inquiry seemed harmless, almost playful, but as is often the case with Serena and Adler, whose career and public presence have always carried wit, it quickly evolved into a discussion about race, symbolism, and the ways people interpret meaning in ordinary objects. The cotton arrangement, she highlighted, looked unremarkable at first glance. It was decorative, likely meant to add a rustic or natural touch to the room's ambience. Yet Serena's response suggested discomfort. Her reaction was not centered on how the display looked, but rather on how it felt, a subtle but powerful distinction. "Doesn't feel great?" she remarked. In that phrasing, she introduced something deeper than mere design critique. Feel is an emotional word, one that carries connotations of unease, memory, or even collective trauma. It left viewers to wonder, was she speaking only about the tactile nature of the cotton itself, or was there an undercurrent of history pressing against her reaction? Importantly, Serena never explicitly mentioned slavery, sharecropping, or the painful legacy of forced labor that cotton represents in the United States. She did not reference the plantations where enslaved Africans were made to picket under brutal conditions, nor the economic system that thrived on their suffering. The video was too short for extended commentary, and perhaps she didn't intend it to carry such weight, but that did not stop audiences online from filling in the gaps themselves. Viewers projected their own interpretations onto her words. For some, the cotton decoration was an insensitive oversight by the hotel, a reminder of a commodity forever linked with oppression. For others, the whole exchange was overblown, a celebrity, attaching unnecessary significance to an otherwise neutral object. The polarization reflected a broader truth about cultural discourse in 2025. Meaning is not fixed in the object itself, but in the lens through which it is perceived. Cotton holds a complicated place in American history. On one hand, it is an everyday material found in clothing, medical supplies, and household products. On the other, it is inseparable from the nation's most violent chapters. The phrase King Cotton once described the South's economic reliance on enslaved labor, a system that enriched plantation owners while dehumanizing generations of black men, women, and children. Even after emancipation, cotton continued to symbolize struggle through the era of sharecropping, when freed African Americans were often locked in cycles of debt and exploitation. Against this backdrop, cotton is not just fiber, it is memory, resistance, and pain. So when Serena used the word feel, many viewers instinctively tied it to this cultural baggage. Even if she herself had not intended such a connection, her identity as a black woman, a global icon, and one of the greatest athletes in history inevitably shaped the way her words were heard. For someone else, the same phrase might have come across as a casual comment about interior design, but for Serena Williams, nothing is ever entirely casual. This dynamic raises a fascinating question about public figures and interpretation. Do celebrities lose the luxury of neutral speech? When Serena asks about a cotton decoration, her audience doesn't just hear a passing remark. They hear it layered with history, politics, and expectation. Her platform magnifies her voice, but it also traps her in a space where every word carries symbolic weight. The brevity of the clip also played a role in how it spread. In today's digital culture, short-form videos often travel the fastest, precisely because they leave room for speculation. A 22-second snippet leaves audiences filling in blanks, projecting meaning, and debating what was left unsaid. Serena's silence on slavery or systemic racism was not enough to prevent others from linking her discomfort with those issues. In fact, it may have intensified the speculation, because ambiguity invites interpretation. Critics argued that Serena was being overly sensitive, seeing offense where none existed. They asked, if cotton itself is problematic, should we reject all of its uses or our clothing, our bedsheets, even the cotton balls used in everyday hygiene? This literal interpretation, though, misses the point. Objects acquire different meanings depending on context. Cotton in the form of a t-shirt does not necessarily evoke history. Cotton arranged decoratively in a luxury hotel might, especially when placed before someone who belongs to a group historically tied to its exploitation. The symbolism can sting, whether consciously or subconsciously. Supporters of Serena's perspective pointed out that feelings are not always rational. The fact that she didn't feel great about the decoration doesn't need to meet a standard of logical consistency to be valid. Emotions, after all, are real experiences. To dismiss them as trivial is to overlook the way symbols operate in human psychology. A flag, a statue, or even a plant can carry resonance far beyond its physical form. At the same time, others noted that Serena's status complicates the conversation. As one of the wealthiest athletes in the world, she occupies a position far removed from the hardships of slavery or some questioned whether her discomfort was performative, a way of aligning herself with broader social struggles while enjoying immense privilege. This critique reflects a recurring tension in celebrity activism. When stars speak on issues tied to identity, are they using their platform responsibly, or are they overshadowing the voices of those closer to the pain they reference? The viral nature of Serena's cotton clip demonstrates how quickly everyday observations can become cultural flashpoints in the digital era. A single phrase, spoken offhandedly, can ignite debates about race, privilege, history, and authenticity. In a sense, the video became less about Serena's personal feelings and more about the fault lines in American society, how people understand symbols differently depending on their own backgrounds and beliefs. It also illustrates the fragile boundary between private thought and public platform. For most people, a comment like this doesn't feel great would disappear as quickly as it was said, maybe provoking a laugh among friends and nothing more. But when spoken by Serena Williams, a woman whose life has been scrutinized from center court to the red carpet, the remark takes on layers of meaning she may or may not have intended. Ultimately, the cotton clip is not just about cotton, it is about how history lingers in everyday objects, how celebrity amplifies interpretation, and how communities negotiate the gap between intention and reception. Whether one sees Serena's reaction as valid discomfort, performative outrage, or harmless commentary, the fact remains, A short video prompted conversations about slavery, symbolism, privilege, and identity in 2025. That in itself demonstrates the power of small gestures in shaping large dialogues. And perhaps that is the enduring lesson from those 22 seconds. Meaning is never static. What feels insignificant to one person may feel heavy to another. What appears neutral in the present may echo with pain from the past. Serena's remark, brief as it was, reminded us that history does not always announce itself loudly, it sometimes lingers quietly. Even in something as simple as a cotton decoration.
5. Serena Williams is estimated by Forbes to be worth $350 million. She's married to a very, very rich man too. She hung up her racket in 2022, ending a career in which she earned $95 million in prize money, more prize money than any female athlete in history. She has endorsement deals to this day with more than a dozen brands. She's active as an investor in her own venture capital firm. She's got a licensing deal with a beauty line. She's launched a multimedia company. She owns part of the Miami Dolphins, but she is an oppressed, direct descendant of slaves, I guess, and that's how she sees.
When Serena Williams shared her reaction to a cotton decoration, the clip drew commentary from across the spectrum, including Megyn Kelly. Kelly framed her take around Serena's accomplishments, noting that Williams is not only the most successful female athlete in history but also one of the wealthiest. Kelly's point was that Serena's race had not held her back. In fact, she argued, Serena's marriage to Alexis Ohanian, wealthy entrepreneur of Armenian and Jewish heritage, further underscored her position of privilege. Against that backdrop, Kelly questioned why Serena would be offended by something as trivial as a cotton display in a luxury New York City hotel. The debate grew more layered when others highlighted what they saw as hypocrisy. Some pointed out Serena's involvement in popular culture moments, such as performing a crip walk at the Super Bowl halftime show. As a contrast, the argument followed that gang violence has inflicted far more tangible damage on Black communities in recent decades than symbolic reminders of slavery. Cotton, they suggested, is not the true threat. Contemporary struggles like crime and fractured communities are. From there, the conversation shifted into a wider critique. Critics argued that many Black celebrities and public figures often focus on symbolic issues like Confederate flags or cotton imagery rather than tackling more challenging but urgent problems such as economic empowerment, family stability, or violence within communities. In this view, the cotton controversy became a metaphor for misplaced priorities, energy spent on surface-level outrage instead of substantive solutions. Supporters of Serena, however, countered that her comment was misunderstood. To them, she was simply remarking that the decoration felt off, not necessarily making a political statement. Yet the fact that she used the word feel rather than look left room for interpretation, and many believed it hinted at a deeper discomfort tied to slavery's legacy. The broader issue raised is one of symbolism versus substance. Symbolic battles may spark emotion and visibility, but without the harder work of building businesses, creating opportunities, and strengthening communities, they risk becoming distractions. Critics claimed that figures like Serena, despite their success sometimes, reinforce this cycle by elevating symbolic gestures that resonate socially but do little to address real, systemic challenges. Some critics argued that Serena's reaction wasn't truly about racism at all. They pointed out that cotton is everywhere in daily life: clothing, nail salons, even medical use, so being offended by a hotel decoration felt inconsistent. If cotton were inherently offensive, the logic went, then Serena would have to avoid nearly every product she encounters. From there, the criticism turned personal. Detractors accused Serena of sending mixed signals, striving to adopt a more Eurocentric appearance through style choices and cosmetic enhancements, while simultaneously calling out symbols she associated with racial oppression. To them, this contradiction made her message harder to take seriously. They suggested that when someone appears disconnected from the community they claim to represent, their words lose credibility, no matter how much wealth or fame they hold. The conclusion some drew was harsh. Serena's stance on the cotton decoration symbolized a larger trend among celebrities who, in their view, toggle between identification with Black culture and assimilation into elite, predominantly white spaces. This inconsistency, they argued, weakens their ability to speak with authority on racial issues. And with that, the discussion folded back into entertainment-style commentary, closing with the signature sign-off. Another hot take in the ongoing debate over celebrity culture. authenticity, and responsibility.